Well, it's the final day of World's Groups. I'm joined by Pr0lly from H2K. Somehow, miraculously, he has managed to get his team out. Actually, it was more like the team managed to get you out, I would say, right?
I wouldn't say that.
Really? You're taking credit for your team's success?
It's
All the best coaches just say it's all the players, right?
Oh yeah, but I'm not every other coach. This is all me, baby.
Okay.
And then the players know that, I know that, and it's one of those things where you have to like kind of play it close to the chest and not always say it, but I tell my players they better tell everyone it's all me or I'll kill them.
That's the Reddit headline, by the way. Pr0lly, it's all me, baby. The players know that, and I know that. That's that's what we want, right?
Yeah, actually, I'd really appreciate that if that was a headline. That should be what it is,
Okay.
actually.
All
Yeah.
right, good. Either way, let's talk about your team's success. So, Cloud9 might not make it out today.
Can you say that one more time? That for what you just said.
Let's talk about your team's success.
Say it one more time, Travis.
Let's talk about your team's success.
All right, all right.
All right, all right. I don't know how. I don't like how you grabbed my arm there. It felt very aggressive. All right, so your team, like right now, Cloud9 might not make it out. We're on the final day. Your team might be literally the only Western team to make it out. Do you feel? Is it satisfying knowing that the team made it out? Is it satisfying knowing that Europe made it out? Is it satisfying knowing that you guys might be the only Western team to make it out? All of the above. What victory are you celebrating?
I guess making it out of groups. I always really hated that ever since like when we first went to Worlds, and I mean for years I always hear like, oh, we're gonna try to make it out of groups. All Western teams always say that, and that always really pissed me off kind of because that's such a low goal. It's like really you guys can't play 6 games well. So I mean I understood it is a lot harder. So I kind of
Right.
sympathize with it a bit, but it is still really annoying that that's like such a goal that Western teams like make and they need to achieve. So after we made it out of groups, it was like maybe like 5 minutes where I was like really happy and I was like, yeah, we did it, we made it out of groups. And then after that, I was just getting stressed out and I was like, well, what team do we play next? Like who are we prepping for now? Like what are teams seeing now that they want to change about us, like in terms of pick ban phase? So it was a really short-lived victory. It wasn't as sweet as I thought it'd be, but I guess that's just kind of like the nature of competition. It's like hard to satisfy the craving. So now it's like, yeah, there's no more celebration and there's just like some small jokes and the whole West kind of collapsing again.
Yeah.
Is nothing really new, but it's really sad because every year I'm always really convinced. Like I'm like, all right, these teams will make it out. These teams are really good, and it sucks every year. I'm like wrong. Like when TSM didn't make it out, that was like, I was, if I was allowed to, I would definitely bet money on that kind of thing.
Right.
So I'm always like really wrong about that kind of stuff. So it's more sad that we're the only ones because I really wanted to see other teams make it out. So it's kind of like, hey, it's us against the world, but now it's just me and my team against the world, and hopefully C9 as well. So we have something in common against the Korean overlords.
Right. Yeah. I mean, do you root for North America still? I mean, it sounds like you do. It sounds like you root for the West because obviously North American player that turned EU coach, that kind of thing.
Yeah, I mean the NA turned EU it's really just so I can like dog on NA and
Okay.
I feel good about it, and I can dog on EU and still feel good about it. No one can really get that mad at me because I've been to both, so it's kind of like my toilet. I can shit where I want. Am I allowed to say that? But I don't care.
I mean, who knows?
Yeah, so I kind of get to do it on both, so that's like the biggest benefit. But I don't know. I think since like 2 years ago when I like first started thinking about coaching, I really dropped the whole like NA versus EU thing, and I really started considering it like a West versus East thing because that's way bigger of a competition, and that's where like the satisfaction is gonna be. Like if we beat out NA and like we're the only Western team that gets out, I'm not gonna like feel good and be like, oh, EU beat NA, yay.
Yeah.
Like there's no glory in that. But like if any of the West, including us, is able to like beat like Korean team or something like that, like that's where I'm gonna like get the glory and search for it. So I've always considered it always like a West versus East thing.
Yeah.
And that's what I'm more hoping for. So I always cheer for all the Western teams over anyone else. So I've cheered for NA, and then obviously like like a TSM Splice was more just like an entertainment thing. Like I didn't have a preference to either. I just kind of wanted to see who would do better and who would do better in quarters and stuff like that.
Now you guys are headed to quarters. Quarters looks terrifying. Assuming SKT gets the first seed, which is very likely, we will have 3 Korean teams in the first seed spot and one very good Chinese team. What is your hopes for quarters? I mean, it looks pretty bleak based on the current standings of this tournament.
Yeah, I mean it's gonna be the same as like groups in my opinion. Like groups were like we were technically like favorites to a lot of like Western analysts and stuff. They always thought we'd get out, but it's it's still like the same situation in my opinion where it really doesn't matter that much like who we're playing against because if you like watched our last week, it really didn't matter who we were playing against like if we actually played well because at a certain point in league like if you play well enough, it doesn't really matter who you play against because you're playing in like a no mistake style where if they can't punish you, they can't punish you. It doesn't matter like how good they are. So it's more of like us showing up again, and hopefully this like doing bad week one and better in week two is like infinitely better for any team. I think to like end on a win. I guess it's kind of obvious, but um, it's better in terms of prepping for next week because it's going to be kind of like a 180 from how last week's scrims were and stuff. So I actually am really looking forward to quarters, especially against like all the teams, like RNG even. I know they're going to be like the hardest opponent, so I don't want to face them because they're definitely going to be the hardest. But we had good scrim results versus them, and watching them, it seems like I know what they want to do, and I think they're not confident in what they're really good at. Like sometimes I see them deviate from like their best plan.
Yeah.
So I think we have a really good shot against RNG. Like it's definitely gonna be 5 games for sure. But
So interestingly, sorry to cut you off. Uzi told me yesterday in an interview that he feels as though if they went to quarters right now, they would just go 0-3 and go out because he feels like they're really unstable behind the scenes and they're still figuring stuff out. I mean, do you? Hopefully, that gives you a little bit of confidence if you end up getting RNG.
yeah, but again, like it's still really on our performance that matters the most because like even if RNG plays really well, because yeah, in scrims that's when people are gonna play like the highest level. Like people will dodge like really aggressively and stuff like that. So games are gonna be a lot harder in scrims. So we've seen them play at like a really high skill cap, and we can match that. So I think the match against them will be really good because it's gonna be like a whole like 10 players trying to outplay each other the whole time. Um, but I think Albus Nox, I'm like it's still question mark because I mean they did have a pretty terrifying group, but it's still like they would have to win 5 games or 3 games. So I think that that's going to be a lot harder for them to do than to play out the group stages.
Right.
But there's still a question mark because it's like what's going through their minds. Like I have no clue how to think about them. Like RNG and like all these other teams that are more like staple are very obvious that you know what they want to do in game and stuff, and they have like clear strengths and weaknesses. Hey, Albus Nox is really like hard to analyze because it's just like what are they doing here?
Yeah.
Like they're making this work, but I don't really understand their thoughts for this kind of thing.
Right.
So Albus Nox is still gonna be a harder one. Obviously, if we perform, it shouldn't be a big deal. But yeah, they just I don't know. They're really confusing of a team. So I'll have to put in a lot more. It's gonna be a lot of guesswork, which is really uncomfortable for me as a coach. Like I want to know things, not to guess things. And with them, it's gonna be a really big guessing game. So RNG, I still don't want to face, but I have at least the ability to prep for them, if that makes sense.
Right. Now, I did an interview with Freeze a couple days ago, who it was on the day that you guys were winning, and he mentioned to me that it was really hard for him because he was sitting backstage and he saw the win, and it was so hard for him because he really wanted to celebrate and felt really honestly good for the team, but then also just felt almost like crying because he couldn't be a part of this. Right? It's so far away. Any thoughts from you on sort of Freeze's situation, and I don't know how much you've interacted with him or anything?
No, I mean I interact with him every day. He's always with us. I think he just finally got a taste of coach life because that's how I feel all the time. Like when we're winning and stuff like that, like it is all the players. So I really wish I was there, playing with him and stuff like that. So I think that's his feelings are the same that I've had. The only thing is I've had to deal with it for 2 years.
Yeah.
So I've gotten better at dealing with it and not like I have to be like that stone faced after the game and stuff.
Right.
But yeah, I mean, it does really suck. I mean, when I first started as coach, like I was 10 times more stressed and upset watching games than I ever was like playing LCS.
Yeah.
Even when we'd win or lose, it didn't matter. It's just being a part of the game and having no control is like really hard to kind of like grasp on like the inside of you.
Right. Well, Pr0lly, it is crazy to me that you went from being a very mediocre North America player to somehow getting to quarters as a coach. I think it's a true testament to just the solid skills of European players and what they can do in terms of carrying support staff. but it is still pretty incredible.
So the incredible part's about me.
No, no, no. The incredible part, well, it is
Yeah,
about
yeah,
you. It is
yeah.
incredible that you have been able to ascend, from like pauper to prince, I guess.
Yep,
Yeah.
it has. I do get to brag a bit though, because Ryu won't say this, so I'm going to force it out of him. But Rise Pick, all me, baby.
Okay.
For months trying to convince this guy to play it. No joke. Within like 2 days of him like talking to all his like KT friends and other Korean mid laner friends, he is instantly convinced talking to them.
So
I
wait,
spent,
you
like,
just said it's
months.
all me, and then it's actually all of
Okay.
his friends.
I planted the seed,
Yeah.
and then the other Korean players grew it.
Yeah.
But I put so much work into getting him to play this because I was like, he's gonna be really good at this. Like, it's kind of like sneaky and smart, and you can do different things. And then he plays it like we didn't practice it too much, and then he goes on stage and plays it, and he's like one of the best rises that we've seen in competitive, in my opinion.
The best thing, the thing that would actually impress me is if you got him to play a good Ziggs in honor of your old mid lane player.
He actually I mean, this is not a big leak because it was a while ago, but he did play Ziggs one time in scrims, and he went like 6-0, and we completely dumpstered the game, and he would like just walk up to turrets and like detonate them and stuff, and he's like, this is so broken OP. I was like, cool, so we'll play it. And he's like, I'm not gonna play this champion again. I was like, no. So he showed me he could play it really well, and then just completely took it out of my hands.
Just to tease you.
Yeah.
Is there anything you want to say to any of the H2K fans or any of the old Pr0lly fans who, again, just like me, surprised that you've seen any success at all in your post career?
Yeah, I want to say I hope you guys really enjoy this interview. You guys get to witness first time Travis getting completely crushed by me and the success of my team. So I really hope you enjoy what it's done to Travis and really relish in that fact.
I mean, I'm happy for your team.
Are you?
Disappointed for you, I guess is a good way I would put it. Yeah.
Thanks.
Yeah. Disappointed in you normally. Anyway, the point is, we're done with this interview. You can check out the rest of our coverage of all things esports here at Yahoo Esports.